Hello and welcome. Although the 8th Assembly is winding down, members-elect are hard at work to determine the movers and shakers of the coming 9th Assembly. Now, the APC's announcement of zoning of its presiding offices of the National Assembly has introduced fresh dimensions to the unfolding political drama, dimensions that interest groups at the National Assembly are milking for their profit. One man who has been talking a lot lately about who gets the plum job at the lower chamber is the one Fireworks will be taking on today as we examine all sides to the issue. Welcome to TVC's Hard Talk interview program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Let's take a moment. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. Today, my guest is Honorable Abdulmumin Jubril, the Director General of the Femi Gbajabiamila campaign organization. Of course, you know that Honorable Gbajabiamila is the race for the position of Speaker of the 9th Assembly. Welcome, Honorable Jubril. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, and it's my pleasure being here.
All right. Your party is evidently buoyed by the gains at the 2019 elections, and it is going ahead to zone key offices. But is it carrying along members in its bid to, electing officers of the 9th Assembly? When I say carrying along, I mean APC members elect and even PDP members elect.
Thank you so much. Straight to the answer, yes, members have been carried along. And the tradition is that once you have a majority party in the parliament, most of the business of selecting presiding officers under normal circumstances should be within the ruling party. So I do not expect that the APC as a party will stretch its hand to other parties. That would be the responsibility of we members relating with ourselves, reaching out to other parties to do what they should. But to the extent of consulting APC members, the party, of course, the party leaders did an extensive consultation.
Ruling party.
Yes,
it's not the responsibility of the party. Isn't that standoffish? I ask that because the president, upon his election victory, said, look, I'm going to run an all-inclusive government. But then your party leaders are coming out to say that it's going to be a winner-takes-all thing. Isn't that contradictory?
Well, you have to look at it within the context of what is happening in our politics. And that is at the party level. And of course, I do not expect that the party will look at it otherwise because the party has overwhelming majority. If you are the party chairman and you have 223 members in an election that you require 181 to win, naturally your focus will be to ensure that all your party members vote. And that will be your strategy. Now, again, it's a two-phase aspect. We members within the National Assembly also have our responsibility, what we need to do, we need to do with our own colleagues to ensure that everybody is carried along. Don't also forget that the PDP itself is also organizing its own members to go contrary to what the APC is doing.
Speaking of which.
So it ought to be a two-way traffic. The body language of the PDP could have been or should have been that of, as a party, that of we are willing to work with you. But again, in our kind of politics, that is not how it goes. So I think at the party level, I do not have issues with what is going on. But again, beyond the party, when you come down to we, the members, there's a lot of reaching out to ourselves.
Speaking of which, aren't APC members elect and even the APC itself being overly confident? Don't forget that the outgoing speaker, who we're not sure whether he's in the race or not, was an APC member and he was quite influential. He was able to pull off an election victory against the wish of the party in 2015.
Yeah, I completely...
So he still wields much influence, I gather, at the lower chamber.
I completely
Will that work against the party?
I completely agree with you that that actually happened in 2015, and repeatedly I have been saying this, that the circumstances and the atmosphere of 2015 is completely different from 2019 in so many respects.
What's different?
A lot of things are different. One is a case of a party that was taken unaware in 2015. Now the party is very, very conscious. Secondly, you have a very, very organized PDP setting in 2015 that were resolute on what they needed to do. And so much has happened between 2015 and 2019. And the PDP, as it is today constituted in the House of Representatives, it is not as united. But it is not that we are taking
so
that.
You're going to take advantage
no,
of that.
Let me come down so that you benefit from the point that I'm trying to make.
Okay.
Because we are not taking that for granted. We're not taking that for granted. But I'm just giving you the picture, the real picture of what is on ground. They also have their own challenges. Then, sadly, the whole exercise that happened in 2015, to the extent of the members that are involved, just about 10 of us, was just, you can just call it a civilian coup that we plotted. A couple of us are also not part of that again. Somewhere along the line, we've also reasoned that it is better for us to give some kind of conformity a chance this time around. We rebelled in 2011, we rebelled in 2015, and we've seen how it's gone. You cannot say it's completely a pleasant situation.
Rebellion was not profitable.
Yeah, well, you may say things never really go the way they are, because to some extent you need relative stability in the National Assembly. You need some kind of cordial working relationship with the executive arm of government for you to be able to exercise your functions effectively, both as a legislator and of course members of the executive arm of government. So the point that we're making now is that even to our colleagues in the PDP is that why don't we give peace a chance? Why don't we bring civility into our politics? Why don't we adopt global best practice, what we preach all the time? We are reaching out to the PDP and other opposition parties, and we're willing to work with them. And of course, you've heard the party. Despite the fact that the party will prefer that I have 223, just a moment, that I have 223 members. Why don't you just go and vote? Despite the fact that that is what the party will want. Don't also forget that the party said, we will not stop you from negotiating with the PDP and other minority parties. And I think that should send a message.
I am yet to be satisfied about your explanation about the abnormal circumstances of 2015. I wonder what was abnormal at that time, but perhaps we'll get to that point in the conversation. Zoning of the Office of Speaker to the Southwest, is it fair, in line with the principle of federal character, especially when you have your vice president also someone from the Southwest?
It is absolutely fair. First, before going deep into that question, all the people opposing the fact that the speakership has been zoned to the Southwest, they were all part of the people that partook in 2011 in electing Speaker Amin Waziri Tambuwal, knowing fully that the speaker is from Northwest, and the vice president at then was also from Northwest. So what has changed between 2011 and now? Why are they now saying it is injustice, it is unfair?
So if you're in the glass house, don't throw stones.
Don't throw stones, because we all did that in the past. Secondly, on the issue of fairness and equity, it is fair. You look at this from the bigger picture before you go down to look at it from the smaller picture, because if you don't get it right from the bigger picture, you will never get it right in the smaller picture. The bigger picture is that largely in this country, you have to balance things between the North and the South first. And in this circumstance, the North has the president. We also have the senator president. Now, the agitation by the Middle Belt, largely it is some people in the Middle Belt that are in the North Central that are agitating about the North Central should be fairly represented. Now, there is some element of validity to their argument. I also do understand with them. Get the point. We are not saying they do not have right to say they are entitled to it. Yes, they can lay some entitlement to the position. But the point that we're making is that, is it fair, having had the president going to the North, the Senate president going to the North, to now take the Speaker of the House of Representatives again and then bring it to the northern part of the for the country? We believe that it is not fair. What is fair is that on the bigger picture, you have the president, you have the Senate president, then the Speaker and the vice president should go. Since we already have the vice president in the southern part of the country, then the speakership should also go to the southern part of the country.
But politicians have very short memories. They will not, be looking at what's fair, right?
Then also,
they want what's profitable. So because of that, isn't your party worried, or aren't APC members-elect worried that these legislators who are agitating that some offices should go to the north, central, and southeast, as we've seen a female member declare her ambition, don't you think they're going to work against the interest?
Topping on the point I started is that in any case, every zone will be well represented, both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives. Mind you, and people don't think about that, and those people who are arguing against the present arrangement do not even want you to think about that, because they know that is the reality of the matter. In the Senate, you have 6 offices, and it will be spread across the 6 geopolitical zone. In the House of Representatives, you have 6 offices that will be spread across the 6 geopolitical zone.
You sound like you have been talking to a lot of people, being the DG of the campaign organization for Honorable Gbajabiamila.
Absolutely.
So what does your mandate also include? Does it also include reaching out in terms of inducement, maybe financial inducement, just to get those other people to your side?
Absolutely, there's no any financial inducement. If there is any inducement, it's a willing inducement, and it's born out of the fact that Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila ends the office. I don't want to sound arrogant or boisterous, but with every sense of humility, everybody accepts the fact that he ends it. At the moment, there is nobody.
You want us to believe that?
There is nobody.
We haven't forgotten.
It is not a, when somebody
I wonder
is
if
saying,
Nigerians have forgotten in
when
a hurry
somebody is saying
stories or reports
if you are
about
asking me whether I want
to secure
you,
a vote of confidence during the budget padding saga.
If you are asking me whether you should believe it or not, that will be in a case where you cannot see what we are saying.
Is
but
there free lunch
in the case
at
of
the Green
Femi,
Chamber?
Everybody sees clearly that he is the most experienced member at the moment in the National Assembly, more competent, more prepared. He rose from the minority leader, becomes the majority leader. Naturally, he should go on. None of the people criticizing Femi are talking about his capacity, are talking about his suitability for the job. The only thing you hear people saying, funny enough, is Tinubu, 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 Tinubu. Let me use this opportunity to tell you that there is no single individual. It has never happened. It is not happening at the moment, and it will never happen. Single individual that can control the House of Representatives.
Really?
It has never happened.
Not even you, who was in the race.
No.
In 2015,
you cannot.
But then you dropped your ambition. You're not qualified all of a sudden.
No. Look, it is not the issue of qualification. We
are saying
qualified. Who is more qualified. That's the point that we're making.
So you're not as qualified, you.
Even me myself, I am not as qualified as Femi.
Okay, now let's go down memory lane.
Please,
Jubril. You were supporting Femi Gbajabiamila in 2015, and then
correct.
You changed route and began supporting Honorable Yakubu Dogara.
Yes.
In 2019, you're supporting Honorable Gbajabiamila. Now, you've had the opportunity to respond a lot of times to this question. I have watched, and your answer is not satisfactory. You say that in 2015, you didn't have gray hair, but now you have gray hair. Not satisfactory. Please give me a more satisfactory answer. Why is the story different in 2019? Okay,
well, when I was saying that in 2015 I didn't have a gray hair and now I have a gray hair, it is much more deeper than that. I'm actually saying I should have elucidated then. I am simply implying that experience have changed. You've been able to see things. Yes,
indeed.
We rebel, and I like saying it the way it is. We plotted a coup, just about 10 of us plotted a coup against the party. The coup succeeded. We tried to govern in the House. In the course of that suspension, I was out of the House for 2 years. So much happened in the last 4 years. And
so let's take it step by
you
step.
You see things differently.
You supported Speaker Dogara, and somehow,
absolutely,
by coincidence or by premeditation, you became a chairman House Committee on Appropriation.
Yeah.
And then things turned sour. You raised allegations of budget padding against the Speaker and some other principal officers, and things turned against you. You became a lone voice in the wilderness. Is that why you are no longer in the speaker's camp, but now in Honorable Gbajabiamila's camp.
What is more important is that we're moving forward. And in any case, I go back to the house. There's some sort of reconciliation between myself and Dogara. And just for your information, there's not a fight.
Some sort.
There's no fight between myself and Dogara. There's no fight. There's cordiality.
All right. You talked about rebellion. We'll review rebellion, but that will be after the break. My guest today is Honorable Abdulmumin Jubril, the DG Femi Gbajabiamila campaign organization ahead of the election into key offices of the 9th Assembly. Stay with Fireworks, we'll be right back. Thank you for staying tuned to Fireworks. Today, my guest is Honorable Abdulmumin Jubril. If you have been following our discussion on the first half, you would have realized, or you would have gotten wind of issues, more familiar with issues shaping the election into the office of Speaker and other principal offices ahead of the 9th Assembly. So, Honorable Jubril, you're always talking about the big picture, and you in fact mentioned, the position of those who are opposing Honorable Gbajabiamila's ambition. Let me take you back to 2015. You were the spokesperson of the consolidation group, and you've confirmed and admitted to the rebellion, the coup that you carried out. Will I be correct if I quoted a statement that you issued, a strongly worded statement that you issued to the leaders of the party? You said, "It is, however, disturbing that certain individuals are poised to disregarding the presidential declaration," that's the president's position at the time, that I will work with anybody, "and forging ahead to manipulate our party to conduct an unconstitutional shadow election for the speakership post, which is alien to the Constitution and all conventional parliamentary practices. The idea is to force a preferred candidate on the party hierarchy and members via intimidation and financial inducements by a certain party leader." So which party leader were you talking about at that time?
Well, it's been a very...
Are you the author of this statement? You're the spokesman of the party, of the consolidation group.
Well, I can't. Bukola, I cannot remember that statement, and I cannot own up to that statement.
Let's talk about Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila. Now, the worries that you'll be a rubber stamp of party leaders, how are you assuring members that this will not be the case in the 9th Assembly?
The House of Representatives, or by extent the National Assembly, is such a complex institution with highly independent-minded members. No one individual can control the National Assembly. And so when I hear people talk about the Tinubu issues, when you look deep into it, you would discover that you have people who want to defy the party or who want to disobey the president, and they use Tinubu as a scapegoat. So somebody is saying no to the party, but he is using Tinubu to justify. He's saying, "I'm doing it because of Tinubu." Somebody wants to disrespect the president, and he's saying, "I am doing it because of Tinubu." The reality of the matter is that if you are going against the party's instruction, if you are going against the president's support for the party, come out and say it the way it is, and do not use Tinubu as a scapegoat. In any case, I have also mentioned that there is no any politician that do not have a mentor. Take it from Dogara, from Tambuwal, myself, Femi, even those who are contesting, Wasi, Bago, Betara, they all have mentors. So if somebody decides that because Tinubu happens to be Femi Gbajabiamila's mentor, that should be to the disadvantage of Femi, I think he is very, very unfair to Femi, because all of us do have mentors. And in any case, if you take somebody like Bago, who is also contesting, and he is saying, "Femi, detach yourself from Tinubu." Meanwhile, the same candidate or aspirant, he is going around seeking the support of traditional rulers, of party leaders, of eminent personalities around the country. So it's double standard.
Again, the North Central, which you talked about earlier, that they've always agitated for them to hold key positions in the spirit of fairness. Now, the PDP is planning to spring surprises. Are you worried that the North Central lawmakers may align with the PDP?
Well, I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. If you take those contesting from the North Central one after the other, you will see what's happening. The North Central Governors Party or leaders and their members elect, they've already adopted Femi Gbajabiamila and of course Ahmed Lawan for Senator, President and Speaker respectively, and they've also resolved to go with what the party decides. So I don't understand how an individual can do that. In the case of Wasi, he has largely withdrawn from the race, and of course he is thought it wise to go with the party. In the case of Bago, we don't like taking them one after the other because we don't want to sound confrontational. But the reality of the matter is that I can easily call him a lone ranger, even though that one vote of his will also want that one vote. Yesterday, as you are aware, members from Niger passed a resolution supporting Femi and disassociating themselves from Bago. The North Central have also done the same. And when you also look at the House, majority of us do not also see him as somebody who has the capacity to be the Speaker of the House, even if we had a situation where the Speaker was the Speaker office is zoned to the North Central zone. So I don't think we'll have the case of the 2015. We want to work closely with the opposition party such that they will also come and support whoever our party has nominated. For now, Ahmed Lawan and of course Femi Gbajabiamila, and we're talking with them. That will not stop them from being opposition. That will not stop them from opposing whatever they want to oppose by the time the House is constituted. But again, today we are the majority party. Tomorrow they can be the majority party. And what they are against us, what they are against APC doing is what they are also trying to do. Because they are saying APC, do not give instruction to your members. Meanwhile, they are saying we will give instruction to our members to act in a particular way. So you see, they also believe in party supremacy. But again, we don't want to bring a fight with anyone. We're stretching our hands to them. We're talking with our colleagues, and we're pretty sure that at the end of the day, we'll be able to get an understanding, and APC members will be able to do what they are supposed to do and get Femi elected.
Speaking of reaching out to members, the lawmaker from the southeast who has thrown a hat in the ring, Honorable Kiruka, many say she doesn't stand a chance. What could be done for her?
Maybe she's contested, she's declared to have an edge. But again, there is a way she would have gone about it without even that declaration to get an advantage over her colleagues. But again, as far as we are concerned, the three of them are all on the same pedestal. And by the time the party allocates something to the Southeast, we'll sit down and look at the three of them and see who is appropriate to occupy the position.
Are you worried about the influence of Yakubu Dogara, outgoing speaker who was in the APC, now in the PDP, but still wields much influence in the lower chamber?
Well, I'm actually not too worried about him. I'm even more worried about how his supporters are beginning to treat him. The way I have mentioned to you earlier, that what we did was like a coup, about 10 of us. So a lot of them are still around him, holding very sensitive position. I used to also have a sensitive, very important position, chairman appropriation, before I was suspended from the House. And there you have chairman defense, you have the marine transport, you have chairman finance, all within that group of 10 that plotted the coup. Now, the interesting thing, what will interest you is that I had thought that the only way they can pay him back, and I have said this to them, and I have also mentioned it to he himself, that the only way they can pay him back is even if you want to run for any office and you are part of that small clique, it should be on the strength of the achievement of Dogara in the last 4 years. None of them is running on the strength of consolidation. So, and the point that they are making, implicitly, they are saying nothing has happened in the last 4 years. Now, look at, all of them are the biggest beneficiary of the Dogara administration. You can call them the grade A Dogara boys. Betara is in the race. It's a Dogara boy. chairman defense. Bago is a core, full-blooded Dogara boy, marine transport. Babangida, full-blown Dogara boy, chairman finance. Namdas, full-blown Dogara boy, chairman media. Wasi, he used to be, even now it's like he's on the fence. He's the deputy leader. Dogara single-handedly made him deputy leader of the House, and he's chairman of the very powerful committee on the federal character. Now, all of them are contesting for the speakership. And because I also talked to him, and but I don't pretend about what I discuss with him, there is none of them that today is campaigning on the strength of the work that Dogara did. So for me, it's a very pathetic situation, and I sympathize with him. But on the issue of whether he is
perhaps
interested...
it's because they've learned their lessons about how things turned out in 2015.
But again, you cannot trust that this kind of the people that somebody who you worked with, brought you, kept you for 4 years. You were practically the strongest set of people in the House, and suddenly you started acting that way. But again, the issue is that whether Dogara is going to contest or not, I don't know. But personally, I've raised that issue with him about 3 times.
But it's understandable if you want to taint, the outlook of their ambition, because you are the DG of the Gbajabiamila campaign organization. So you would rather enhance the positives of your own candidate. Understandably.
If I understand the point you're trying to make, but if I were Dogara, what I would have done, given the fact that the whole of the people around me are now somehow working against me, I would rather go into alliance with Femi. He has known Femi for ages.
So are you using this platform?
No.
Are you using this platform to give him a subtle counsel?
Because practically all those that are with him today are turning out to be those who are destroying him behind him. So why should he sit down there and be wasting his time? So the more sensible thing for him to do is now to build a bridge with Femi and work. And so, at the end of the day, we will also benefit from his own chunk of experience in the House, and that's the reality of the matter.
The picture, the canvas that you paint now is pregnant with roots in history. I don't want to go down yet again memory lane. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Honorable Jubril, you appear to be a very good strategist, but ultimately the fruit of your work will determine whether you are in a few weeks' time.
Thank you so much.
That's our offering on Fireworks today. We thank you profusely for being there. Of course, you have a big picture, as Honorable Jubril would say, about the factors that would influence the outcome of the election into the key offices of the 9th Assembly. Join me again same time next week when I bring you another interesting edition of the program. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo. Bye for now.